So we have with us Sarah, who is an outdoor program coordinator for WaterSense. So if you don't know what WaterSense is, of course you will talk about it, but it's EPA program, and she works with the technical team on new outdoor specification, coordinates with professional certifying organization to certify efficiency. A specialist in irrigation, she develops resources to promote water efficiency practices with industry and public. She has a master's degree in public affairs and environmental science, all focusing on water conservation. So basically, she looks mostly on the outdoor program and certification for WaterSense level. And with us today, she will be talking about how the certification process work, how can it save water, what goes behind, and everything in between. So without further ado, it's all yours, Sarah. I'll mute myself and turn off my video, and you can take it from here.
Great, thank you so much for that intro. And hello to everyone joining this virtually. Thank you for having me, inviting me either into your workspace or even your home. And I hope you're all doing well and you're ready for the next hour or so where we're going to talk about WaterSense. So my plan for today's presentation is to give an overview of the WaterSense program in case you're not familiar with it, or to refamiliarize yourself with it. Go over our specification development and product certification process, and then highlight specifically the outdoors program a little more, because that's the side that I primarily work on. And then I'm going to give a brief introduction into what it means to be a WaterSense partner. So what is WaterSense? WaterSense is a voluntary non-regulatory partnership program that is both a label for water efficient products and a resource for helping save water. The mission of WaterSense is to transform the marketplace for products and services that use water and promoting a nationwide ethic of water efficiency to conserve water resources for future generations and reduce water and wastewater infrastructure costs. As a mouthful, but currently WaterSense works towards this mission by providing a simple way to identify water efficient products, programs, practices, and homes through our certification and labeling process. So what makes WaterSense a successful program? Firstly, it's a label with integrity. We have third parties that identify, we have third parties that independently certify that products and homes meet the criteria we set through the specification. And of course, we're also backed by the credibility of the EPA. Our label is simple to understand. It's a signal to the consumer that this product is more efficient and will perform well and ultimately save water. And then the label also still creates some space for manufacturers to compete on a degree of efficiency or other features. So there's still room for innovation. We set really just performance and water savings criteria that a product needs to meet. And as long as they meet those criteria and they fall under the scope of the specification, they can get the label. So there's still a lot of room for innovation. And then also, it's a really smart use of resources. The EPA provides the national standardization, which I'll go over a little later. And we also provide the outreach for water efficiency. Manufacturers absorb the product research, testing, and branding costs, and then licensed certifying bodies certify the products and police the label. So together, WaterSense manufacturers, retailers, and other partners all come together to help the market and incentivize the purchase of the labeled products. So everyone wins in the end when a WaterSense product is purchased. WaterSense has several different labels and logos, but the two most commonly used, and two that I hope you're either familiar with or will become familiar with today, are seen on your screen now. On the left, we have our promotional label. This is definitely the one I think you'll see the most. It can be used in almost all situations, including our products. And then on the right, we have our partner logo that our partners use to identify themselves. All right, and now on your screen, these are all of the product categories that are currently labeled by WaterSense. We have lavatory faucets, tank type toilets, flushing urinals, shower heads, irrigation-based weather-based irrigation controllers. There we go. Flushometer valve toilets, spray sprinkler bodies, and soil moisture-based irrigation controllers. And I think if you look really at the first one, the lavatory faucets, if you look at the number of labeled models, those numbers are, in my opinion, really a testament to the effectiveness of this program and its ability to shift water use product markets towards better use and efficiency. So we currently have over 20,000 labeled models, which is really cool. So it is a process that takes years, but we do get there, and we're very, very proud of that. And in addition to those products, we also have a program to label water efficient new homes. Green building has grown from a niche market to a savvy business strategy and development. And WaterSense labeled homes meet consumers' demand for a whole house solution to help them save water, energy, and ultimately money while maintaining a high level of performance. We have recently reviewed the program and launched the Homes Program 2.0, which offers clarification and more flexibility for builders and homeowners to find creative ways to save water and energy while still earning the label. So all WaterSense labeled new homes reduce water by at least 30%, and then they are also third-party certified. And if you want to find out more, you can Google us, just WaterSense Homes, it should come up, or visit the website that you see on the right here. All right, and just a quick overview of the program as a whole since its founding. Since it was launched in 2006, WaterSense labeled products have helped consumers save more than 5.3 trillion gallons of water and nearly $108 billion on water efficiency and energy utility bills. It's eliminated 242 metric tons of greenhouse gases, and that's really the equivalent of planting 4 billion trees. And you can't talk about water without also talking about energy. They're so interconnected. And really, WaterSense saves energy associated with the pumping, treating, and heating of water. Water is really heavy. It takes a lot of energy to move around. So that's how WaterSense saves energy. And we have saved 754 billion kilowatt hours of energy. And that's enough energy to supply a year's worth of power to more than 7 million homes. So that's my super brief introduction to WaterSense as a program. But we're going to get into today how this whole process works. How do we get to labeling products in homes? What does that look like? How do we reach that point? So first off, all of our labeled products meet the same benchmarks. They must offer equivalent or superior performance to similar products on the market, be around 20% or more water efficient than the conventional model, realize water savings on a national level. They must provide measurable results, achieve water efficiency through several technological options, be effectively differentiated by the WaterSense label, and they must be tested and independently certified. And really, the two main takeaways from all of this is that they are independently certified through water efficiency and performance. So all of the products that reach or that achieve or earn the WaterSense label will meet a performance standard that we set during the specification process. And then they also reach a standard that we set on water efficiency. So it has to perform well, and it has to also save water. Those are really the two main takeaways. And here we evaluate, potential product categories' ability to reach those benchmarks we just went through the specification development process that you see here. So it's kind of like an ongoing thing. There's many steps where we make sure that it meets all of those listed on the previous slide. But step one in certifying a new product category. So what I mean by that is like, like toilets or lavatory faucets. That's a product category. There's many individual products that can fall under that. So that's just the scope of the specific specification. And step one is market research. We evaluate the product differentiation in the marketplace, its availability of performance standards and specifications. We want to make sure that we have measurable data on those. We also look for energy, water, and cost savings potential. And then we also just gauge our stakeholder support. Are our partners really game for this new product category? How do they feel about it? Is it something that's needed on the market? And is it feasible? That's a big one too. And then step two, once WaterSense has enough evidence to support water savings potential and stakeholder support, we will issue a formal notice of intent. This identifies a potential path forward and acknowledges any data gaps or research needs that are still outstanding. At this point, we invite participation and feedback from stakeholders to support the process, and we might ask for help to fill any of those identified gaps. So really at this step, we have a pretty good idea of what we want to do and how we could do it, but maybe there's still some gaps that we would like some input on. It's usually maybe a suggestion like, this is what we're thinking, but we also think that maybe this variable could be tested on, and we can put that out there and see what the public and our stakeholders have to say about that, if they have any ideas or any data to support a certain test method, perhaps. So it's a lot of back and forth, really collaborative step of the process. I apologize if you can hear an emergency vehicle. There's one going down my street right now. All right, so after the NOI, we have step three, which is issuing a draft specification. At this point, WaterSense issues a formal draft of the proposed specification, and then the public is then invited to submit public comments on the proposed water efficiency and performance criteria for products that will be eligible for WaterSense, for the WaterSense label. So this is like a more formal step. At this point, we have outlined what we want the water efficiency and performance criteria to be. We know those numbers, we know those test methods. It's still a draft, so we're still taking input. It may not be 100% perfect. And based on the comments we get, we do respond to all of these comments at this point. Based on the comments that we get, we might decide to issue a second draft spec or a third. And we don't love doing that because it takes up time, but we definitely do when we need to. And yeah, but this is like, I guess, a more formal, fleshed out part of the specification process. So we have a formal draft. And then at that point, pending the review of the draft spec and the comments that we've received, either in support or against, or any sort of suggestion or data proving either in support or against, we'll move on to the final specification. And this provides the final water efficiency and performance criteria eligible for the WaterSense label product under the specified product category. And it establishes a third-party infrastructure for certifying the project or the products. So this is just one half of the story. This is just us writing the specification, setting really the benchmark for the label. You can always be more efficient, but we just set the line. So if it's at least this efficient, it can get the label, and at least this sort of performance criteria, it can get the label, but you can always be more. So that's this part of it, the specification process, just setting that benchmark. And the other part is the actual product certification process. So once we have the specification out there, an independent third-party certification is really the key to bringing the labeled products to the market and ensuring confidence in the WaterSense brand. We established the WaterSense product certification system in 2009 and then revised it in 2016. And really, this system is put in place to ensure that eligible products are tested by a third unbiased body to the same and fair standards set by the specification. And again, those standards are the performance and water efficiency standards. So we've outlined the specification, what we want to set the benchmark. for labeling said product. And then step 2 is having this certifying body that will evaluate the product unbiasedly. So we don't do it as WaterSense, the manufacturers don't do it, because we both have incentives, right, to not be perhaps 100% honest. We of course want everyone to be, but we make sure that there's no slips. Third party definitely goes through the certification of the actual products, and they just follow the specifications and the test methods that we lay out in the final specification, that previous step 4. All right, so on your screen now, you can see the actual certification process by these third-party certifying bodies. So if I was a manufacturer of a soil moisture sensor and I think my product falls under the scope of the soil moisture sensor specification, I can follow steps seen here to get my product labeled by WaterSense. So WaterSense has already issued a draft, or not even a draft, a final specification on soil moisture sensors, and I think my product qualifies. So what I do as a manufacturer is I partner with WaterSense. It's really easy to become a partner. I'll go over that later. And then I also apply to a certifying body for certification. The certifying body conducts the product evaluation. So this is the quality processes, the product inspection, product testing. And if I pass all those benchmarks that were set by the specification, I get to be certified. So the certifying body certifies my product. The certifying body then authorizes the manufacturer, which would be me and my soil moisture sensor, to use the WaterSense label. So I can now put it on my packaging of my product or stamp it on the product itself. And then the certifying body also notifies WaterSense of this new labeled product. On our website, we have a product finding tool. You can just Google WaterSense products, it will come up, or you can go to our main page and you can navigate to it that way. But we have all of our products listed on our website. So we update that all the time. Every time we're notified of a new product on the market. And then, I just said that. We have an online registry. And then finally, our certifying bodies also conduct ongoing conformity assessments. So we want to make sure that the products don't just, pass it once. We want to make sure that over the years, they continue to meet that performance and efficiency standard. So we have label surveillance and product retesting. We also want to make sure that our labels are always used appropriately. So certifying bodies also label, or they police the label. All right, that was a mouthful. I hope that wasn't too much text and you're all still with me. We can go over questions at the end. I know that was kind of a lot of information at once. But in addition to products and homes, surprise, WaterSense also has a professional certifying program. So we have 3 certification programs. We have irrigation system designers, irrigation system auditors, and irrigation system installation and maintenance professionals. These programs range from the local to the national level, and we have over 3,500 irrigation professionals that have been certified by a WaterSense labeled program. And I'll go through this process as well, how we came to this moment. All right, so EPA WaterSense labels irrigation certification programs based on the criteria outlined in the WaterSense Professional Certification Program Labeling System, version 1. That was also a mouthful. This is essentially a specification published, much like those published for any other product category. So again, that performance standard and the efficiency standard, we go through that whole same process, issuing the notice of intent, the draft spec. The whole process is the same for a certification program. And the specification outlines the performance criteria for this certification. Really, it answers the question of how do we measure or make sure the program trains professionals to use best management practices in the fields to ultimately save water. And I'll get into why this is really important in the outdoor sector. The WaterSense Professional Certifying Program Labeling System specifies the organizational requirements a professional certifying organization must meet to earn the WaterSense label for their certified programs. To professional certifying organizations, we call those PCOs, and you can think of PCOs as the classrooms. So we don't individually go through and pass each and every professional that goes through this program. We, as at WaterSense, label the classrooms. So we give the classrooms the okay to teach the course for individuals to become certified. So when an individual goes through that class and passes the course, they become a WaterSense certified professional. These individuals also complete continued education credits to maintain their certification. And there are two types of PCO, so two types of like classrooms that can hold their course and certify professionals. We have our EPA approved PCOs. So when we have a parent, we also call them parent PCOs. When we have a parent PCO apply directly to EPA for organizational approval and the WaterSense label for their professional certification program. So they apply directly to WaterSense, and we review the specification and review their application and approve them pending that they meet our specification. And then we also have adopting PCOs. So those apply to the parent or EPA approved PCOs for approval to use that PCO's WaterSense label professional certification program. So again, our certification or our specification, it just outlines benchmarks that your program has to reach. Every single parent PCO's program is very different, but they all reach the same goal. Ultimately, everyone gets the same amount of knowledge, or at least the same amount of required knowledge. They can always sprinkle in stuff that's unique to their regions if they want to, but we just, again, we set the baseline. So parent PCO applies directly to us, and they have maybe a brand new program. And then adopting PCOs will apply to the parent PCOs, and they just kind of use the program that's already been developed, maybe just in a new region. And again, all PCOs are WaterSense partners. All right, and that's still not all. So in addition to labeling systems, WaterSense is also a resource for our partners and the public to learn about the importance of water efficiency and how to implement and promote best practices in their business and homes. This is especially important in the outdoor sector, where WaterSense takes a systems approach to realize water savings. Water use and loss outside is so dynamic. So we know that it's usually not enough to simply identify and install efficient products into our landscapes. True water savings are realized when the right balance of maintenance, landscape design, irrigation scheduling, installation, and plant choice for your area. So we know that the right pieces of the image on the left, this, oh my gosh, I totally forgot the word of what they're called, a Venn diagram, there we go. This little Venn diagram, the little slices might be different based on where you live, right? Because the United States is so big. And it really is going to be unique based on your local environment and climate. Everyone's climate has different needs. The recommendation that we would give to someone in New England in their outdoor space is going to be very different than the recommendation we might give to someone who lives in the Great Plains or out west. So it really is going to be unique. And this sort of systems approach allows that flexibility to build the right, to pick the right pieces for your landscape that's appropriate for your region. And this is truly the space that we want our professional irrigators to help fill. We want to provide a source of local knowledge on the best practices for your landscape. So that's why we set the benchmark, and our parent PCOs or adopting PCOs can add little tidbits that might be more specific or appropriate for their region. And just to single them out again, in the outdoor sector, WaterSense currently has 3 product categories available for label certification. We have weather-based controllers, soil moisture irrigation controllers, and spray sprinkler bodies. And then WaterSense is currently considering a specification development for spray sprinkler nozzles based on the following developments. So when we first labeled the spray sprinkler bodies, there wasn't a ton of data out there that the nozzles specifically saved any more water than, across the board. There wasn't differentiation within the nozzle market. But recent water saving studies have indicated that now there are certain types of spray sprinkler nozzles that can result in reduced water use. So many water utilities also offer rebate programs for this product, and they're very interested in more easily identifying spray sprinkler nozzle models that save water compared to standard nozzles. And that's exactly what our label is intended to do. Many utilities rebate to our products because they're very easy to identify. And then in addition to that, many manufacturers currently market some models of spray sprinkler nozzles as water efficient or high efficiency. And then Dr. Michael Dukes of the University of Florida has been developing a test method to evaluate how to differentiate these spray sprinkler nozzles. So at what point do we set our benchmark? What do we want to call efficient? That's the phase, I guess, that we're sort of in. We're a little past that phase, but that research has helped support, I guess, us getting past that phase. And I just wanted to point out the image on our right. This is what many, I guess, would call a spray sprinkler head. And it's the combination of both the spray sprinkler body and the nozzle. And our spray sprinkler body is the part that goes in the ground, and that regulates pressure. And that part is currently labeled through WaterSense, but the nozzle, this little top part that often shoots up on the little riser, that part is currently not labeled, but that's what we're looking to hopefully label. So in this whole process for the development specification for spray sprinkler nozzles, we are kind of in between the notice of intent and the draft spec. We're at this part where we have the supporting data that shows that we're pretty confident there are some models that save more water than others, but we're still like filling in some of those little gaps. So that's where we are. We have not issued a draft spec yet, but we have issued a notice of intent. And if you're interested in looking at our notice of intent, the comment period is now closed, and our submitted written comments or additional information and data that were issued to us are in the process of being reviewed. And right now we're in the process of determining our next steps. But if you're interested in just reviewing the notice of intent, again, you can't comment to us anymore, but you're more than welcome to read it over. That is online. You could just, again, Google WaterSense spray sprinkler nozzle. It should come up, or you can visit the website that's on your screen. There's also a public meeting presentation that can be reviewed on this website. It's truly just a slide deck breakdown of the sprinkler nozzle because, it's a little dense. So the public meeting presentation is just showing the same information in a different way. But you're more than welcome to find those and review those. All right, and like I said a few slides ago, WaterSense is also a resource, and we have a myriad of technical guides and best management practices, etc., focused on education. These can be found on the WaterSense website, where you can also find landscaping and watering tips, our Find a Pro tool to look up certified professionals in your area. We also have a What to Plant webpage with local recommendations on drought tolerant, native, and low water use plants that might be appropriate for your region. And we are in the process of also creating a page with materials and frameworks focused on saving water in HOAs outdoors. And really, in addition to this, I have some big goals over the next few years to work more into the landscaping side of things. So we're working on that as well. And finally, we'll go over a little bit over our partnership program. And so WaterSense is ultimately and at its very core, a partnership program. We would not be able to do what we do without our partners. And our partners include manufacturers, realtors, not realtors, sorry, retailers and distributors, builders, home certification organizations, professional certifying, there we go, professional certifying organizations, and promotional partners. And we really couldn't do what we do without this partnership. So we love our partners. They do a lot of really great work. And if you are associated with any of these categories that I just listed, I would also like to highlight that this last one, promotional partners, this includes water utilities, state and local governments, nonprofit organizations, and home builder associations. And we also have quite a few extension services who are partners. Yeah, I think that some people don't immediately recognize that maybe they fall under promotional partners. So I wanted to highlight that. So again, if you are associated with any of those categories I just listed, I would really love to encourage you to become a WaterSense partner. It is free, and with a partnership, you gain access to a community and resources, all focused on creating a more water efficient world. And for more, you can visit the link listed at the bottom of your screen here. And you can also easily navigate to this page by Googling WaterSense partners. And here's a map of all of our partners. We have more than 2,000 WaterSense partners at the moment, which is very exciting. And we're always looking for more partners to collaborate with and really fill out some of the gaps that you might see on your screen. So if you see yourself in there, let us know. We would love to work with you. And for any information that I went over, you can find it all on our website, which is www.epa.gov/WaterSense. You can also just Google EPA WaterSense, it will come up. If you have any questions, you feel free to email us at watersense@epa.gov. You can always ask for me specifically. And we also have our toll-free helpline if you wanted to talk to a person. I know sometimes emailing or talking to, not people can be frustrating. But yeah, that's all I have for us. I'm going to stop my screen and I guess I can see if we have any questions. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Sarah, for a wonderful presentation. I have in the chat, I put a link. So you'll also get a link after the webinar ends. But if any of you are leaving and want a link to provide feedback and any suggestions on future webinars, please visit the link. And I always check those feedback pages to see what people are interested in. And so now it's time for questions. So if any of you have any questions regarding today's presentation, anything at short, anything related, please feel free to type it at Q&A and I can read it out to Sarah. So the first one here is California has rules requiring pressure compensating spray bodies. How are WaterSense requirements different?
They aren't. To my knowledge, I believe they are the same. WaterSense is a voluntary program, so we nationally do not have an opinion on states or local governments' choices to adopt our specifications as regulations, but they do. And specifically California likes to do that. But again, we have absolutely no opinion or comment on whether they should or shouldn't. They're free to do what they want. So it is the same requirement. Those are our sprinkler spray bodies.
Okay. Nick has a similar question. How does WaterSense differ from QL? So QL.
Oh yes, QL is one of our parent PCOs. So that is again the same program. They are WaterSense. All those who take their irrigation program, they are certified WaterSense professionals.
Yeah, QL deals with like teaching, training, outreach, everything, as does WaterSense, but it's more into labeling and testing, right?
Right. So this was the certification specification. Quell has applied to EPA with their program to become a parent certifying body, and they have passed. So you can think of Quell as kind of the classroom. So the classroom came to us and they're like, hey, we want to be WaterSense certified. We think we qualify for the specification. And they do. So everyone who takes their class on irrigation is a WaterSense specs, or excuse me, now there's helicopters flying over my apartment. There's so much noise today. I got distracted. So anyone who takes their irrigation program is a WaterSense labeled professional.
Awesome. So that is all the questions that I have. So again,
there is one, I think, above that by Keith.
oh, okay.
I saw it. It says, how much label surveillance does EPA perform? How many labels are reviewed each year? How many tests? That's a great question. We actually don't know because we have the third party structure. They don't tell us who fails because we don't need to know that information, and it might become, like kind of biased if we have that kind of market information. It would just like, we don't need to know which ones failed. So we're only told or notified once a product passes. So I don't personally know the test passage rate, which I think is maybe what you're getting to. I don't know if that answers your question.
I think it does. So yeah, let me take if there are any other. So I don't see any other questions, but I do have a questions if no one has one. So what is the cost associated with making a product WaterSense? A product or a class or a person or anything as such?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, the way our program is set up, manufacturers take on a lot of those costs. So I, off the top of my head, don't specifically know. It definitely depends on the product and really whatever we've decided to set as the performance or water efficiency criteria, because some things are easier to test than others.
Yes.
Often toilets are pretty easy to test, but soil moisture sensors are a little harder to test. And really during the specification product, we come together as a whole industry with our partners to all try and reach a consensus on what we want the performance criteria to be. And we definitely keep in mind cost. We don't want the test to be so expensive that it prohibits, especially smaller manufacturers from entering that market and getting their products labeled. So it's definitely something we think about. But off the top of my head, I can't actually give you any numbers. I could follow up if you wanted to email me about it.
Awesome, thanks. So does WaterSense offer on-site lunch and learn with groups?
I don't know what that is, so I don't think so.
Okay. Do you have any outreach program with this meeting and then?
No, not specifically with WaterSense. We really do rely on our partners to do a lot of that. So we often develop social media campaigns or pamphlets that our partners can then hand out at whatever events that they choose to hold. So a lot of them go to farmers markets, and they have, like 5Ks. We have big social campaigns that we run, like Fix a Leak Week, and our partners will really kind of jump on that schedule. So our partnership program provides a lot of flexibility for our partners to kind of promote the program in whatever way works best for them.
Awesome. I think that helps. With that, yeah, I don't see any. Okay, there's something in Q&A. Multi-stream rotor nozzles are proven to conserve more than sprinkler nozzles because they mitigate evaporation. Is there research being done to compare the two sprinkler nozzles? Is there a focus on multi-stream rotors?
Okay, that's a complicated question. I think you're
Yes.
talking, yeah, multi-stream rotators. Currently, manufacturers advertise them as spray sprinkler nozzles. So they do fall under that big umbrella. And those are definitely products that we're looking at. That would probably, we have not decided the certification benchmark yet, but we are definitely looking at those. And I think a lot of them would potentially get the label pending we go forward with our specification process.
And
I hope that made sense.
and with those like rotor nozzles, it's
Yeah.
not like they mitigate the evaporation. They definitely can lower it, but it provides more time for the water to go in ground before there's a next stream coming in.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so
We're not talking about like just rotors. We're talking about, yeah, spray sprinkler nozzles, which MSNTs are often advertised as spray sprinkler
yeah.
nozzles. Yeah.
Let me check the chat. I don't think there are anything else. So yeah, if any of us don't have any questions, I would like to thank Sarah again, and thank you very much for giving this wonderful presentation. Hope we have some more programs and we talk about more programs of EPA and water conservation in future. With that, okay, so we are getting it again. Do you anticipate that states will give spray nozzles the same gravities that they did spray head legislation? I don't know, this looks complicated. Yeah.
Oh, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, do you anticipate that states will give spray nozzles the same gravity as they did to spray heads?
Oh, I'm assuming you mean spray sprinkler bodies. So again, spray heads are often referred to the nozzles and the body kind of together. So we only currently label bodies. And yes, some states have adopted that specification as regulation. I don't know. California is always on our watch. But again, I have no opinion as a WaterSense employee in a voluntary program on what states choose to do. They can adopt it or they can't. We are a voluntary program, and that's how we operate.
You do constantly partner with the states, right?
Yes, there are states that are definitely partners. They are stakeholders. There are states that definitely participate in our campaigns. Depending on how your local or government set up, utilities could be part of the city and part of the government. So we do partner with them, but we're constantly, having to draw that line between us being a voluntary program versus a regulatory program, and we are not a regulatory program. A state's involvement or partnership with us is completely voluntary. We don't require them to follow specifications. They don't have to make them regulations. They can promote them via rebates, which a lot of utilities do. So really our goal is to shift the market, and however that happens is really not up to us. It's up to your local governments, really.
But things like like labeling a product such as irrigation heads to be a WaterSense, how do you does it have to be certain amount of water or certain percentage of that conventional head, or how do you decide if it is even water efficient?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And that's really what our notice of intent is kind of going out to ask about. So I definitely would encourage everyone to go check it out. I don't think I have time to get into the nitty gritty. But basically, with recent publications and what Dr. Michael Dukes has come forward with us, we've decided that we're pretty confident that we can establish a baseline, but we haven't decided on it yet. And that's really what the point of the NOI was to get stakeholder input. So if they didn't agree with our proposed, benchmark for whatever performance criteria we choose, or whatever measurement, is it DU, is it flow rate, whatever metric we choose, we outline that in the NOI, kind of our desired path forward, but we're asking for feedback if manufacturers or states have data that would support a different metric for measurement. So it's really a collaborative effort.
Awesome. We had Dr. Dukes in our CUL presentation.
Oh,
I think
really?
few months ago. He talked about smart controllers and how they have evolved and
Oh,
how
cool.
they save water. So if you any of you are interested, you could go to YouTube and watch that.
Yeah,
Yes.
we work with him a lot. He's great.
So we did get another question now. Does the certification program include a component to ensure that the operating instructions are sufficient to allow the end user to use the device in a WaterSense way? Okay, this is
That is a good question as well. I mean, I don't think we require in our specification specific directions to be put in the box. I would hope that all manufacturers do, because we want people to use their products correctly. But to really get to, I guess, that end of things, we also heavily promote hiring an irrigation professional who knows how to properly, schedule a weather-based controller or a soil moisture-based controller. And like I said earlier, we very much know that just putting the right product in the ground outdoors isn't enough to save water. It's really a dynamic space, and you need those best management practices as well. So that's where we really hit home on the education. We have technical guides on our website that can tell you how to properly schedule a weather-based irrigation controller or a soil moisture-based controller. But we definitely highly encourage for individuals or apartment complexes, HOAs, to hire a WaterSense professional to do their audit for them.
Yeah, but that was a really good question, Andrea.
Definitely.
And from my experience of working with the smart controllers, they do have that instruction where you try to put in all the information, but I can't say for everything. So yeah, the manufacturer should do it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. And now I think that's the end of all the questions that we have. So again, Sarah, thank you so much.